Alright, today let's do a little video on pulling up the form, pulling up the clay. This is often where a lot of problems come in when we get started. So what we'll do is we'll take the several steps from the very beginning. And that'll be the opening and the centering and the opening, and then we'll pull up a form. So what I do when I put my clay on, see how it's wobbling this way? I usually will get started by putting my left hand down there, again in this wedging or opening position where the elbow is locked in to the hip. Get my hands around it and kind of pat it down this way. See how much better already it is? So then when I start the actual centering, a lot of the work is already done. So, I'm going to go ahead and center this. Using lots of water, no drag. And there we are. We're centered now. We're going to do the opening. Left hand on the clay, thumb laid across. These two fingers locked into our thumb. Everything is locked together, moving in the same direction. Push down into the center to where you are about at the right distance that you think. Take your tool, measure it. Gives us about a quarter of an inch. A little bit better, 3/8 of an inch. That's what we want. We're ready to do the opening. Same position, thumb laid down, everything locked. Then begin the pull. Just keep the pressure moving against your thumb as you open it up this way. Here we go. See, this left hand also, because sometimes this section right in here begins to flare up. So if you use your left hand fingers to help flatten that out, that helps. And as we pull, remember that you pull straight down, because what you want as you look down is a right angle. The wall of the side right here is straight down, and then it goes into the base, into the foot. I'll compress the center. Compressing the bottom, moving from the center to the right side, center to the right side. Okay, now we're ready to go. Change positions just slightly here so you can get a good shot of this. The first pull that I make, possibly the second and third, is in this claw position. It's where the two fingers on the inside against the clay, the thumb on the outside, right here. See this little ridge we're beginning to make in there? That's what we would like. That's what we want. Keep it wet. Now, the sponge. You start off with the sponge sitting sideways on the clay. You get it so that your thumb touches the clay. Thumb touches the sponge. The sponge is right on this ridge in here. And you want to push the sponge towards the center as you're pulling up. So in this crab pull, you grab hold of it, keep it wet, get your sponge on there, pinch it, and push towards the inside as you lift. Gotta do. As I come up to the top, I may even put my finger on that a little bit. So I pull all the way up to the top, drop my finger in the top to flatten or compress the top. We've done our first pull. Then I do my little compression, the volcano as we call it. Bringing it all together because I want the clay to be moving this way, in towards the center, not flared out that way. If you flare it out, then it goes crazy as you try to get taller. So compress it, volcano it in. Then this rim right down here, what you don't want is a ski slope. At the very bottom, you don't want this rim to go this way, or the very bottom of your clay against the bat to move this way. You want it straight up and down, and then a right angle on the bat. So I eliminate. I use my first finger and just tear off some of that. We're all set. Okay. Here's the second procedure. Now, because I pulled up so tall, the first move, I'm not able to get my thumb all the way down. So what we're going to do is replace the thumb with the sponge. Instead of the sponge being sideways this way, you're going to turn it so it's lying flat. The tips of the fingers need to be at the tips of the sponge. In fact, it's really the fingers that are going to be doing the pulling up on the clay. Palm up, fingers into the clay here like this. The sponge is going along the ride to rub against the clay to keep it in balance, keep it lined up, and to keep it wet. And so these fingers press against these fingers. Notice this thumb here. I want my hands to touch. Get them so they all move together. And you don't want your fingers lying flat like this, it's angled up just slightly. Then you start your pull. You push in with the fingers. The inside fingers are slightly above your outside fingers. I'll say it again. Inside fingers are slightly above. They're not even with the outside fingers. They're above the outside fingers so that the clay rides along this groove and just gets lifted right up. See? That's very simple, isn't it? Let me show you a little bit again here. So here's how my inside is. We'll do it this way. Inside fingers right here, or the outside fingers are here. Inside fingers are slightly above it. Does that come across that easily enough? Slightly above it, and the clay is in between it. You just pull it right up. So there we are in 2 pulls. We're at that height. This is about 2.5 pounds of clay. So without making a project, it would behoove you just to grab about half a dozen, 6 balls of 2 pounds of clay and just pull cylinders. That's all you need to do. So that's called pulling up.